Hello everyone, Catweazle here, welcome to the channel and welcome back to turn 1 of Waste Nights, Saviours of the Waste. Couple of things to go through in this episode. Obviously we've got to go through the mission and there's a few tweaks to it, so it'll take a little bit of time, but hopefully not an hour and a half. One of the things I didn't show you last time was the dice. So you get 6 of these D10s, got a rather nice toxic orange colour. I believe most of the games actually shipped with a sort of toxic yellow, but we've got toxic orange because we're special. So those are the dice that we will be using for our tests and combat and whatnot. So groovy. Righty ho, so we've set up our protagonists. They're on gangrene, ready to go. So let's find out what sort of mission that they are going to be doing. So we're going to use the first mission in the book, which is called Saviour of the Waste, and you will find out why I've called it Saviours of the Waste shortly. So let's just read through it. Cerberus madmen will never let us forget about them, even decades after the Scourge. Inside one of their secret laboratories, an atomic clock started counting days to the explosion. An enormous nuclear payload hidden deep underneath our feet might widen the Great Down Under and finally put an end to our hopes of uniting Australia. One of the Old World Order scientists has managed to locate this Cerberus facility. However, only a smart and skillful daredevil will bypass the advanced security systems and disarm the bomb. Before Old World Order generals decide to send anyone to such a fateful and responsible quest, they must be convinced that the chosen one will overcome all obstacles. One of you has a unique chance to become a legend of the waste and prove that even in this broken world, true heroes can still be found. Who shall be the one? Which of you shall prove worthy of taking the future of the continent into his hands? Who shall sacrifice everything for the common good of all survivors? Righto. So, we're going to have to change that round a bit. It works really, really well if there's 2, 3 or 4 players, because the whole idea is it's a bit of a race, and obviously the winner takes all and wins the game. So there's quite a large competitive aspect. So, however, I'm playing it solo, so that makes it a bit different. So it's really difficult when playing solo to have one of these free-for-all jobs going on. But we're quite fortunate with this game because we can tweak it around a little bit and we can make it cooperative. Well, I'm hoping we can, and that's what I'm going to try and do. So we've got our 4 protagonists, and what we're going to have is we're going to have a sort of loose coalition, a group. So instead of a lone survivor, all that are red, they're looking for a group of survivors that are going to be able to go into this sort of facility and sort it out. So they need to know that the group that they're going to hire can actually do the job. So rather than using an individual, we're going to use a group. Now, this group aren't really going to be a very close-knit group. Think about Suicide Squad, something like that. Or one of those 1970s bank robbery movies, you know, where they all come together to rob a bank, but they're not too sure that they won't get double-crossed or something like that. That's the idea behind it, and I think that fits pretty well with the theme. So, although they're not actually going to go out of their way to kill each other, and they're actually going to try and achieve the objective together, they're not exactly like big bosom pals. They're only doing it, they know each other, they're aware of each other, and they get on okay. But at the end of the day, if it suited them, they'd betray the rest of them in a heartbeat. So that's the sort of like group that we've got, and they're going to try and achieve the objective. Now, because we're doing that, we're losing part of the game. And part of the game is, if there was 4 of us, imagine 4 of your mates were playing it, they'd have a whale of a time backstabbing each other, and if one of the characters looked like he was going to win, all the others would turn on him and try and make sure that he lost. You'd have a couple of beers and you'd have a great time, trying to do each other in, and it'd be fab. But if you're playing solo, that's not really, it's a bit, ugh, unless you're a complete schizophrenic. So we are going to play it like cooperatively. Because we're playing it cooperatively, that means we have to make it harder. Because one of the ideas behind the actual victory conditions of Saviour of the Wastes is part of the difficulty is you're contending with the other 3 to 1 player. So they will be actively trying to beat you. The way I'm playing it, all 4 of us are together. So what we've got to do is we've got to make the initial premise a little bit tougher. So let's have a look at what the solitary hero would have had to have done. He would have had a time limit of 6 rounds. So there's a variable we can tweak with. Special setup, there isn't any, but I'm going through a special setup now because we're going to make it cooperative. Special rules. Each time a knight accomplishes a task, he places his player marker on this mission sheet. Use the panel shown below to store the markers. So there we go. The mission ends at the end of the round when at least 1 player places his 3rd player marker on this mission sheet, or at the end of the 6th round. And the victory conditions are, the winner is the knight who has the most player markers on this mission sheet at the end of this mission. And then it's if 2 or more knights have an equal number, blah blah blah, bit of a tiebreaker. So that'd be quite easy if we're playing cooperatively, because it'd just be an absolute doddle. You don't have to worry about the other players, they're not going to stab you in the back, and everybody just zooms off, does a task, you get your 3 tasks and you've won. Woohoo! Probably do it in 2 or 3 turns. So what we're going to do is we're going to make it tougher, because we've got a group. So I'm going to suggest what we do is instead of 3 tokens going on the mission, we're going to put 12, so that's 3 each on average. Yes? Now, looking at the tasks, the common task, even if we played the best we played and got really lucky, we could probably do 1 common task a turn. Because if you remember, we've got to actually finish a task before we can promote another one, pretty much. So that means time is going to be tight because we need 12 of these tokens, so we need to complete 12 tasks. So let's look at it. Best case scenario, we complete a common task a turn. The other tasks, the private tasks, well, they're going to take at least 2 turns, because you've got to go to the place where they are, then you're assuming that you get the card straight away, you pass the test straight away to gain the card, and then the next turn you pop across to where it tells you to go and you achieve the sort of final condition on the card. So best case scenario there, it's going to take you 2 turns to do a private one. And there are 2 private tasks that are available. So every second turn we could have done 4 tasks. That's 2 common tasks and 2 private tasks. So times that by 3, 6 turns, like in the booklet, we could have done 12 tasks. Except it's highly unlikely, because you'd have to just achieve every single every single success. You'd have to get to every single hex with no problems. So that is not really going to happen. So we're going to have to tweak with the 6 turns rule. So let's double it. We are actually asking for 4 times the task tokens. So let's double the turn, the number of turns. So let's say 12 turns, yeah, to get 12 tasks. Now that brings up its own little conundrum. We could just get 12 common tasks, couldn't we? Well, we can't have that. That's too easy as well. So what I'm going to say is that at least 6 of those 12 task tokens must be private tasks. So half of them must be private, the other half can be common. So 6 of each. So that seems like that makes it a little bit tougher. Additionally, what we don't want happening is we don't want one super member of the team. Like everybody else trades all the good gear to them and they get every single task. You won't be able to do that anyway because you've got to get 12 tasks and you're not going to do that in 12 turns with one person. But say you get a couple of people that are all tooled up, the other two are then, they're just surplus to requirements, aren't they? They just do like menial tasks. We don't want that. We want all of the team involved. So what I'm going to say is every single waste night must complete at least 2 tasks. They cannot complete more than 4 tasks. So that gives us a bit of leeway. So everyone's going to have to complete at least 2. So everybody's going to have to put themselves in harm's way. Additionally, not only do they have to complete 2, one of them at least has to be a private task. So you can't get a weak character doing 2 common tasks, for example. Everybody has got to do at least 1 private task. So least of 2, one of which is private, most of 4, one of which is private. So the sort of split you can get is everybody could do 3 each, and a couple of them, because we've got to have 6 private tasks, remember, a couple of them will have to do more than 1 private task, or 2 of them can do 4 tasks, the other 2 can do 2 tasks, or we could even have a 4 task, 2 3 tasks and a 2 task waste night. Just gives us a bit of flexibility. So that's the way we're going to do that, and we're going to split the private and the common tasks just to make it a bit more difficult. Now we'll stick with 12 rounds because at the end of the day we're still going to have to travel through the wasteland. We're still going to get wasteland cards played, all that sort of stuff. We've still got to pass tests and everything. So I think that'll give us a really hard challenge, actually. I haven't play tested it, so we'll see. If it's a doddle, then it's a doddle, and I'll have to tweak it. But I think it's a good way that this way we can get 4 heroes and we can give them a reasonably hard game, in that we've got to complete 12 tasks in 12 turns. Half of those tasks have got to be private tasks. Each player has got to do at least 2, and they've got to do at least 1 private task each. So I think that's quite tough. So I hope it is anyway. It might be ridiculously tough. So I might have to tweak it later on. But I think it's a good way to actually get a bit of a cooperative game going. On top of that, it goes without saying that I'm going to be playing the waster. Now normally you've got more than one person, so while one person's doing their turn, another player is actually actively playing against them as the waster. Because I'm playing solo, I'm obviously going to have to be the waster. There's no like AI, there's no card-based AI really, so all I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to play against myself. But goes without saying, I'm going to have to play my best when I am playing wasteland cards and all that sort of stuff against every single hero. Very much like Runebound 3rd edition. Runebound 3rd edition is very much like this. You don't really have to fight each other if you don't want. So they rely on another player playing the actual monsters and stuff to the best of their ability, and that's what I'm going to have to do here. So it's exactly the same as Runebound. I'm just going to have to play it the best that I can play it and try and defeat them. After all, that's the whole point of the game, so let's just go for it. However, that said, I'm in a bit of a better position than most, because I've got you guys. So if I start going easy on these like heroes, I'm sure you will be there in the comments to say, stop being a pussy, you should have played that other card, and all that sort of business, and that's fair enough. So that's what we'll do. So by all means, please keep me on my toes, as well as pointing out any mistakes I make. As I say, it's pretty much a blind playthrough this. So as well as keeping your eyes open for me making mistakes, keep your eyes open for me going too easy on any of the heroes. That's not the point. So we're going to try and do it this way. As I say, I haven't like play tested it. It might be way too tough. It might be dead easy. We might get a good game out of it. We shall see. Right, so quick summary. instead of 3 tokens in 6 turns, so 3 tasks, 3 tokens, 6 turns, first person to do it wins, what we're doing is 12 tasks, 12 task tokens in 12 turns. Everybody's got to do at least 2. One of them must be a private task, and we've got to do it in 12 turns. The idea is that there are other groups that want this job, yeah? And by the 13th turn, one of the other groups has done it. So we've got to do it in 12 in order to get the job, yeah? As a little sort of, what's the word? As a little sort of friendly rivalry between the group, we will count up who has the most reputation points at the end. So while the group may win, we'll also have a member of the group who's got bragging rights over the other. I think that'll be interesting as well, to see who actually gets the most reputation. And you never know, if it's getting close at the end, you know, and it looks like we're going to get the 12 tokens, perhaps they will start fighting amongst themselves just to get that little bit of reputation. So just depends how I feel. If we're getting up there, you know, and it looks like we're going to do it, perhaps 1 or 2 of them might start thinking, oh right, I'll nick a task off one of the others and that sort of stuff. Just like one of those 70s bank robbery movies I was telling you about. So perhaps it might be a bit of double crossing at the end, we'll see. That'd be a bit of fun. So we'll see how it goes. So hopefully it'll work. It seems to be a very good game to be able to, you know, write your own stuff. There are only 5 missions, but I think it's just one of those games where you can pretty much say, you know what, I'm going to make my own mission. It seems quite straightforward. So I'm hoping that this is going to work. If it doesn't, it doesn't, and we might have to figure something out halfway through, but we'll give it a go. So we were playing Saviours of the Waste, not a Saviour of the Waste. We're all in it together, and we're all trying to get 12 task tokens, 6 of which must be private task tokens, and do that before the 12th turn finishes, and then we will win this particular game. Righto, so let's get on with it. Hello everyone, Catweazle here. You're probably expecting to go straight on into the gameplay. Now, that's what I did, but that was about 3 hours ago. What happened was, obviously, it took a bit of time because it's my first game, so I was checking a lot of rules and stuff. But also, I got that involved with it that I didn't realise how how much fun I was having, and all I did was the movement phase, and anyway, it took a lot longer than I expected. When I uploaded everything, it was well over an hour. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to split it here, so we'll have that sort of mission recap that I've just done, and then I will upload the gameplay. So we'll do that separately. I'll upload the gameplay separately. So this is about, I think this is about 20 minutes. So we'll shave 20 minutes off the gameplay. I've covered stuff up with the rulebook and stuff, so you don't know where we've got up to. And obviously I haven't focused in on any cards or anything, so you don't know if any have gone or anything like that. But it was certainly a fun-packed movement phase. So we'll get back to that in the next episode. I will upload this. It'll just be the changes that I've made to the mission. Okie dokie. So thanks very much for watching this, which is now going to be the mission recap episode. And I hope you join me for the start of the actual gameplay, which will be in the next episode. As I say, I've already done the movement part of the wasteland phase. So I've just got the exploration phase, I think, to do. And we will finish that off. That will probably be about an hour again, but it's the first turn and I'm explaining a lot of stuff. So thanks very much for watching. Thanks for all the subscriptions. Thanks for all the views. Thanks for all the comments. Thanks for all the help and the support. As usual, if you've spotted anything that's wrong, then give me a shout. Any views you've got on the changes I've made to the mission to make it a bit more co-op. It might be a bit too difficult, I'm thinking. I was a bit worried it might be a bit too simple. Now I'm a bit worried it might be a bit too difficult. We'll see. But any views on it, by all means put them in the comments. So I hope you will join me for the actual gameplay, which will be coming next episode. But until then, this is me, Catweazle, signing off. Toodaloo.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!